Hi guys, welcome back to another video. And as we know in this world, things just keep getting more and more expensive and spare cash keeps getting less and less. Well, one of the things you could potentially cut back on if you don't mind doing a bit of work on your car yourself is garage costs. As you might have seen from some of our previous videos, Alana and myself don't mind getting our hands dirty and doing a bit of work on our cars. Well, in this week's video, I'm putting together a whole video dedicated around what sort of tools you might need to carry out a bit of maintenance on your cars and save yourself a bit of cash. Should we get the joke away at the top of this video and say that really all you need in life is 3 different tools? If it moves and it shouldn't, you need duct tape. If it doesn't move and it should, you need WD-40. And if all else fails, use a hammer. Right, video done. Thanks for watching. Good night. No, in all seriousnness, if your shed isn't brimming with tools like Alana and myself wasn't, and you want to do a bit of basic maintenance on your car, or you just want to save yourself a few pounds in garage fees and just get them to do the important bits while you do the basic bits, then here's a little rundown of the tools that Alana and myself use. And we're going to start off at the expensive end and run our way down to the cheaper side. So don't get too scared with the first few that I start with, as yes, you'll be spending out money, but over the course of car maintenance, providing you use the tools, you'll save it in the long run, because every time you use it, that'll make that tool cheaper. Man maths, that's how I like to work it anyway. Something that will cover over 50% of jobs that you need to do on any car out there has to be a Halfords toolkit. Something like a 150-piece set would be the sort of thing that I personally would go for and what we use. Inside these sets, you've normally got different ranges of sockets of different sizes, maybe a set of Allen keys, screwdriver bits, different size ratchets, extensions, converters. So for most jobs on the car, that will cover you there and then. The Brucey bonus about the Halfords toolkit is it comes with a lifetime warranty. So if you break a ratchet or a socket or something like that, just walk in store with your receipt and just say, I would like another socket please, and they will duly replace it. I know, because one of our converters broke at one point, took it in, and without hesitation they replaced it. One of the things that's not going to be in a Halfords tool set, and if you want to do an oil service on your Freelander 2, is a 27mm flexi headed spanner. Be sure to buy one of those. The oil filter on these cars are in a really awkward location, and putting a normal spanner or a ratchet, it just isn't feasible. So a 27mm flexi headed spanner is the definite way to go. It just makes a nightmare job not so much more of a nightmare. And while you're at it, make sure you get some sort of drain pan to catch the oil in. Next on the list is a decent trolley jack. I can't remember what ours is off the top of my head. I think it's something like 2 or 3 ton, but the bigger the better. Just make sure that it's got decent reach on it. What you don't want to find out is that you brought a low profile trolley jack, stuck it under your Freelander 2, jacked it up, and it's at maximum reach and it's only just tickling the underside of the car. As to jacking up these Freelander 2s, we have been asked before how we go about jacking our car up. Well, we can't really tell you because we don't really do it the proper way. You see, we use the front sump guard and the fuel tank guard to lift the front or rear wheels off the ground by using a bit of wood between the jack to spread the load, and just jack off of them and then stick axle stands where we need them. Talking of axle stands, make sure you've got at least 2, or if you can, get 4 axle stands, and make sure they're overrated for the job you need. Personally, I like the ones that you can put the physical pin in between. I know there's ratchet types, and I have heard horror stories about people knocking the release mechanism with arms, legs when they're doing maintenance, which is then meant the axle stands then drop to the floor. So I personally like the pin version, but obviously make sure you buy decent, try not buy cheap, because ultimately they're probably going to be the thing that's holding your car from crushing you. Moving on, and we're starting to go down in price now, but a cordless drill, even if it's a cheap one, if you can afford a decent one, go for a decent one, but if not, get a cheap one. But also make sure to buy some reverse drill bits. And you might be thinking, is that the same as sky hooks and a glass hammer? Well, no. Reverse drill bits are quite handy, that if you have any stuck bolts while you're drilling them, it's also somewhat undoing them at the same time. You never know your luck. You might start drilling a bolt and it might unseize and it might just whiz itself out. Worst comes to worst, you're drilling the bolt out anyway. But I found so many times a set of different assorted sizes of reverse drill bits, probably from Sealey or something like that, really comes in handy, and there has been an odd occasion where I've managed to buzz out a bolt without actually having to drill it in the end. It's just a case of the vibrations kind of shake the bolt somewhat and it seems to loosen up and come out, so win-win. The last expensive piece has to be an Autel AP200 Bluetooth diagnostics dongle, and we are not sponsored by Autel in any way, shape or form. We just really like their product and will recommend it. Unlike a cheap Bluetooth dongle that you can pick up for 10-20 quid, something like that, they only scan the engine's ECU and will feed back codes that are related to that ECU. On a car like the Freelander 2 and other modern day cars, they have many ECUs all over the car. Well, the Autel can scan each individual one of them ECU and feed back any error codes. Not only that, it's got some basic to intermediate workshop tools, like for example key programming. You can reset airbag lights, I think, on it, and all sorts of other little bits and pieces on your car. And it's a great middle ground because it's not weak enough that it can't do much, but it's not overly powerful that you can damage your car too much, unlike some of the higher end Bluetooth diagnostics dongles or diagnostic tools that they'll have so much power you can corrupt ECU and brick your car and it will never start ever again. Moving down to a much cheaper end of the scale and starting off with a decent-ish set of pry tools for them interior trims. Don't go too cheap on these, as we've got two sets. We've got a set that's really good and we've chiseled the ends out of them left, right and center because we've used them so much. We picked up another cheap set and they are so unbelievably flexible and have no strength to them whatsoever. But yeah, a decent-ish sort of set of pry tools at your disposal with different ends to them, so if you ever have to pop any trims on, you can do it using them. You don't have to use a flat-headed screwdriver and then put all sorts of divots into your trim. Mole grips, vice grips, whatever you want to call them grips, make sure they are in your tool armory. We got a pack of 3 different size mole grips and they're probably made out of Chinesium metal and they'll probably break if they're put under too much pressure, but so far so good. They're great for holding anything that wants to spin, like a nut or something. You can clamp it on and then sort out whatever you need to sort on the other side. Torque wrench is another tool that we could not do without. We've in fact got 2 different ones. We've got a bigger one for doing the wheel nuts, higher torque setting things, and we've also got a smaller one for doing oil filters or just lower torque setting that the big one can't go down to. In fact, I have been tempted to buy a third that goes really low because sometimes the low one doesn't quite go low enough. This next tool is something that saved me so many times and I'm so grateful that I've got it in my bucket of tools, and it is properly cheap, and that's some sort of magnet on a telescopic rod. We've just got a small one, it's just on an extendable rod, but oh my god, that is something that will get you out of trouble so many times. When you drop them tools, sockets or something down in the abyss below, it's quite handy to have something there that you can kind of poke down and poke around and hopefully hook it back up, or if you've dropped something in fluid, a magnet on a telescopic rod, hands down probably one of the best tools you can buy. On the same theory as the mole grips, some regular pliers and also some needle nose pliers. They both come in handy in various situations when mole grips just can't do the job, or they're too big and bulky for what you need, or you just need a quick grapple onto something. Suction syringes for whenever you're playing with liquids, especially when it comes to the power steering reservoirs when you need to remove the fluid. Something like a medium one with some clear piping will come in handy many a times over. And if you wanted to do the diesel fuel filter on a Freelander 2 for example, then a big old silverline suction syringe to pull the diesel through with the clear piping on the end so you can see any bubble. A set of cheap small wire brushes never go amiss for them times where you got to brush off a bit of corrosion, or there's a bit of stubborn dirt in your way, or you clean up the threads of a bolt before undoing it. They always come in handy and good to have in your toolbox. Moving on to consumables or other miscellaneous items, as you might have seen in some of our videos, whenever we're doing work on our cars, we always have bright orange gloves on. These gloves that we use are quite thick. They've got nice grippy bits to them to really help you grip tools when you need, and you can also use your phone when wearing them as well. But something like that to protect your hands but also be able to grip tools never go amiss. I feel like I'm compelled to put this in the video even though I'm a right one to talk, but a set of safety specs. You only get one set of eyes, as I've been told in the comment section down below, and I know that we often go against that comment and we quite often either are not wearing them because we've forgot them, or they're on top of our head or anywhere but on our eyes. If you're doing work on your car, don't do as I say or do, or whatever the saying is, do as I say. Set of safety specs, only have one set of eyes. I'm going to ramble through these next few, but plenty of blue roll to clear up all that lovely mess that you'll no doubt be making. WD-40 to free off them bolts that won't free off. Penetrating spray to really penetrate them bolts and get them moving the next day when you go to attack them. Silicone spray for all the hinges, joints, that sort of thing on your car. Make sure you have plenty of that in your armory. One thing that I almost forgot is brake cleaner. You will go through plenty of that, so make sure plenty of that is on your shelf too. The last thing on my list, and it's not a tool, it's not a consumable, but make sure to go out and get yourself a pack of cheap foam mats. If you're doing work like Alana and myself do out on your driveway or out on the street, then get yourself some foam mats to put down where you're working. There's nothing more painful than kneeling down on a stone with your kneecap. Ouchie. But also on top of that, the floor's generally quite cold, so the foam mats just help insulate that a little bit and keeps a tiny bit of the chill off your bones. A couple of not essentials, let's say. The first one being a set of run-up ramps. If you're doing anything at the front or back of your car that don't mean the wheels have to come off, then a set of run-up ramps are brilliant. Like for example, if you're doing an oil change, just pop the car up on a set of ramps, do your oil change, you've got plenty of room underneath, and then when you're done, drive it straight back down again. It saves you the hassle of having to drag your trolley jack out, pull it on axle stands, make sure it's all safe, blah 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 blah. Drive it up, do what you need to do, drive it back down again. Brilliant. So if you can get yourself a set of them, please do. Also, a bottle jack. It's all right having a decent trolley jack, but if you get a puncture out on the road or anything like that, your trolley jack is more than likely going to be at your house, so you're going to be unable to change that puncture. I don't know, if you're at work and you can change it yourself, let's say. Yet again, same principles apply. Make sure to get yourself a slightly overrated bottle jack for the car that you're using it on, but also make sure it also has the reach, because yet again, you don't want to pump it all the way up and find out it's tickling the undercarriage of the car and not actually lifting it up. One thing that I deliberately left off that people are probably confused how it's not made it to this list is an ugga-dugga gun, otherwise known as an impact gun. People are probably like, well, isn't that a given? You make sure you always have an impact gun. Well, for me personally, if you're doing basic maintenance on your car, for pretty much most jobs, there's nothing a screwdriver, ratchet, torque wrench can't do. The ugga-dugga gun does make jobs simpler and saves your joints somewhat, but if you're only doing 1 or 2 cars, you're probably not doing that much maintenance to make it worthwhile. And 9 times out of 10, if you don't really know what you're doing with an ugga-dugga gun, you're going to damage heads of bolts, strip threads out, and just tighten up things far tighter than they need to be. If you know you're going to get use out of it, buy one, because these ugga-dugga guns run into hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds potentially. And then on top of that, you need an impact socket set to go with it as well, so the prices just keep going up and up. So for me, I like a bit of return on investment. If I don't think I'm going to get good use of the tool, I won't buy it. And not only that, 9 times out of 10, any jobs that require an ugga-dugga gun, unless you're feeling really comfortable and confident, the car's probably going into the garage for. So let them use their tools and their ugga-dugga guns, and you just stick to the basic stuff. So there we have it. That's a whole bunch of tools that, while they'll cost you money, they'll save you money in the long run, whether it be doing maintenance on a Freelander 2, a Skoda Yeti, or any other car out there. If there's any basic tools that are cost effective that you think should have made it onto this list, leave it in the comment section down below. Other than that, if you enjoyed this video, it'd be much appreciated if you can give the video a like. And if you really want to and feeling extra generous, then why not buy Alana or myself a cup of tea or a cup of coffee by using that super thanks button. Other than that, all that's left for me to say is, if you want to see another video like this, click up here. If you want to subscribe to the channel, click up here. Cheers everyone, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. See ya.